Hi guys, it's Kendra from Crafty Kendra, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is bring in our card base, which is an 11-inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of Always Artichoke cardstock, scored in half at 5 1/2 inches. We're going to bring in the Joyous Celebrations stamp set and use the little mistletoe leaves. Oops. And our Always Artichoke ink pad. And what we're going to do is we're just going to randomly stamp the entire front of our card. Alright, and there we have our entire front done. We're going to go ahead and set our card base aside and bring in a scrapped piece of Very Vanilla. Now this piece of Very Vanilla measures 2 inches and it's just a really long strip. And what we're going to do is bring in the little reindeer and Christmas tree stamp from the Joyous Celebrations set. And using our Stampin' Right markers, the brush tip, what we're going to do is we're going to take our crumb cake marker and color in just the antlers. We're going to take our chocolate chip and color in everything but his nose, so his whole body. Then we're going to use Bravo Burgundy for his nose. Just going to breathe on our stamp to re-moisten the ink. We're going to stamp it kind of towards the center of the paper, so you'll see that it's not really close to the bottom. It's kind of centered there. Now what we're going to do is, you can see that it's not as full in color, so I'm just going to bring in my chocolate chip marker, and I'm just going to go in and fill his color in just so it's a little bit more defined. Okay, and then using the fine point tip of the Bravo Burgundy, just gonna color in his nose a little bit more. So now he's really nice and dark, and I left the antlers how they came stamped out because it gives it just enough contrast that it looks wonderful to me. So bringing in the tree, we're going to use our Always Artichoke Stampin' Right marker, and we're going to color in the tree. But when we color in the tree, we're not going to color in the star or the tree's trunk. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is just going to stamp the tree once. Then we're going to move our stamp up a little bit, stamp it again, move it up a little bit more, and stamp it again. That way we get the effect of a forest. Going to ink the tree up one more time and do it on the other side of the deer. Once, twice, and 3 times. Now what we're going to do is bring in our 2-inch by 1 3/8 inch oval punch. Just going to center our little deer and his trees and punch them out. Set the scrap and the punch aside. I'm going to bring in a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock, which I've already embossed using the oval from the texture frames. So we have it embossed, and this piece measures 2 inches by 5.5. And what we're going to do is, using our Always Artichoke marker, we're just going to rub along the embossed parts to kind of make them stick out a little more. Now, when I ran this embossing folder through the Big Shot, you run it on tab 1, but I did it with no tabs because this embossing folder with all these little dots really seems to cut the cardstock, and I wanted to keep it from doing that. So whenever you use it on a lower setting, it doesn't do it as deeply. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and use my marker and go along the inside, because our circle that we punched out is just a little bit smaller than this frame itself. And because I did this coloring, I want to make sure that you can't tell if it's askew. So we're just going to take the back of our oval, put a little snail, and then try to center it inside the frame. Just like that. There we go. And now what we're going to do is bring in the Lucky Limeade ruffled ribbon. I'm just going to tie a little knot. Just like that. Now we're just gonna snip off the ends. Okay. And now I'm just gonna slide that bow up so it's out of the way and bring in my embossing buddy. Just going to emboss the bottom there. I'm going to grab my image sheet, and what I'm going to do is, with my Stamp-A-Majig up in the corner, I'm going to grab the Peace on Earth stamp. Just going to ink it up, and it doesn't matter what color of ink. Just going to stamp it in the corner, and now I'm just going to clean off the stamp real quick, because we're just using this as a guide, because we'll really be embossing with this. So I'm just going to take it and center the greeting towards the bottom of our cherry cobbler piece. And now that I've cleaned off my stamp, I'm just going to use our Versamark pad and stamp it. Alright. Now we're going to bring in our Whisper White embossing powder. Okay. Here I have my little cutting board, which I like to use when I heat emboss so I don't ruin the finish on my table. Just going to turn on my heat tool. that's done, move this out of the way and pull our little knot back down. Okay. Now we're ready to bring back in our card base. Here I have 2 strips of Designer Series paper, and it is from the Simply Scrapping Kit in our holiday catalog. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach it using snail adhesive. I'm going to use the one with the berry vanilla and the little green strip first. I'm going to put it about an inch up from the bottom on the paper. Then I'm just going to butt the next piece right up against it. Okay. Now I'm going to flip our embossed piece over and grabbing 6 dimensionals. I'm going to put 1 in each corner. Okay, and then 2 in the middle of the piece, just because it's such a long piece, and with the embossing I want to make sure that it doesn't sink in the center. Going to attach it starting at the top about not quite half an inch from the right side, moving it down. So if I have any overhang, which I do, I can take my scissors and trim it off. Now I'm going to open up the card and we're going to put the inside in. On my sample, what I did is I just stamped the little mistletoe branches towards the left side. So what we're going to do is bring in our piece of Very Vanilla, which measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Our mistletoe piece and our Always Artichoke piece, ink pad, sorry. And we're just going to go and stamp it down the left side. Just like that. And then using snail, we're going to attach it to the inside of our card. So I'm going to flip it over and center it on the inside of our card base. And there we go. That's all I have for you guys today, and I hope you enjoyed the card, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.